What's going on, fellas? So I stayed up till like 3 a.m. jacking around with this thing, and this is what I came up with. So basically my goal is to make a torch that's about 500 degrees hotter than your standard torch using just an air compressor and not compressed oxygen. I'll be doing a couple of tests in this video on top of taking the temperature of the torch itself. I'm going to be brazing some 1/4-inch steel again, just for the purpose of observation and to show what this thing's capable of doing. The braze joint, I'm going to be using actual bare bronze brazing rod. This is not silver solder. And okay. There's test one. Okay guys, the temperature keeps actuating on my phone. The temperature shut off. As you can see, we have brazed that massive bad dude. I'll try and get it in some better lighting and get it cleaned up. Alright guys, so you got it cleaned up a little bit. Now it took a second to learn the torch. I also had trouble getting it started because the valves are a little sticky. They need worn in. Couldn't get that ripple to sweat down, but it's good for reinforcement, right? So there you have it, brazed, a massive piece of 1/4-inch steel. Now, had this piece been connected to another structure or something, it may have wicked away a lot more heat. I did leave it mounted on this big chunk for that same effect though. And a lot of heat was wicking away. My camera shut off twice because of thermal overload. It tells me I can't use the iPhone until it's cooled off. I was a little too close with it. And with this thing running, I was just kind of juggling too much. So, proof of performance there. I think this thing would be able to run a steam coil just fine. However, the biggest problem that I did notice was the fact that this bottle just gets too cold. It starts to boil off, and once it's boiled off, it's cooled off so much from the boiling that the pressure just drops. There's no sense in running a regulator because I need more than a regulator would even allow. So the regulator's out of the question too, and regulators do the same thing. So what I'm going to have to do is get a heat pad for people with bad backs and wrap it on this tank. Maybe that'll give me enough heat. You can still see the sweat. So the colder that bottle gets, the less pressure it's able to produce. So there needs to be some type of heat jacket for these things, like maybe even a heat blanket with a thermostat. I finally figured out where the sweet spot is on that flame. Turns out it's a lot closer to the tip than I thought. Because we got this glowing hot combustion chamber, the temperatures right here are actually hotter than they are at the inner cone tip. So, pretty cool. And just damn right impressive. That's with propane. Anyone who's ever done any brazing knows what we're looking at here. This is not an easy thing to do at all. You typically need an oxygen acetylene torch to do this. So, another thing that I noticed about this rig is that I want to move the handle back. The handle needs to be about right here. It's just so close. Or I could wear gloves. I mean, I was lighting myself on fire just to get the video done. I was doing this. So that was the main two problems. My valves were sticky. Put a little oil on them. And it's very touchy when you go to light the flame. This thing is not as easy to adjust as the hand dragging. This is the other hand torch. This torch is the one that performed the first braze you see here that we've seen initially. But I think I like this a lot better. So much easier to build this unit. A lot lighter. And pretty freaking gnarly. We will be connecting a steam coil to this thing as well. We have in the past seen that I attempted to build a steam coil using this little bad boy right here. And we used a small blowtorch, the turbo torch to be more precise. And the turbo torch just didn't quite have the power to run this thing. Unfortunately, I didn't shield this tubing with silver solder, and you can see I have a blowout right there. You can see that blowout. This thing was probably hitting some pretty good pressures when it was surging. But I pretty much canceled the project because no propane burner was capable of performing very well. I also had some hose connection issues. So I cleaned up an old dirty chainsaw with this thing and it worked amazing. So we're going to give it another shot. Now that we have a torch that is capable of providing tremendous amounts of heat and temperature, I think the concept's plausible. A little handheld steam gun for cleaning grease and I think I'm getting higher temperatures today because it's hotter out and the bottle can give more gas.